I will first keep that.
Good morning to everyone present here. It is our pleasure to welcome our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. Sanjay Kumar Sir, respected dignitaries, guests of honors, respected head of institutions, faculty members, and staff of Amity University, Kolkata, our Amity School of Economics team members, HY ma'am, Dr. Shanghamitra Brahma ma'am, and all the students and all the participants to our first International Climate Resilience Conference 2024 on building resilience against climate change and related challenges, the roadmap towards a sustainable future, organized by Amity School of Economics, Amity University, Kolkata, in association with Economy Polity Environment Foundation and Washington University of Science and Technology, USA. As we embark upon this event, we shall seek the blessings of our respected founder president, Dr. Ashok K. Chauhan, Chancellor, Dr. Atul Chauhan, Honorable Senior Vice President, Shri U. Ramachandran, Honorable Advisor, Professor Dr. Shobhit Bhattacharya, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Sir, Professor Dr. Sanjay Kumar, Vice President, Mr. Gaurav Gupta, Registrar Ma'am, Dr. Amrita Shah Ma'am. Now I request our Honorable Vice Chancellor Sir to felicitate our guest of honors, Professor Ujjwal Kumar Chaudhary, Vice President, Global Marketing, International Relations and Media Design Education, University of Science and Technology, Virginia, USA, Professor Shaurya Roy, Director, Global Marketing International Relations, University of Science and Technology, Virginia, USA, who have graciously agreed to be our theme speaker for today. And our another guest of honor, Professor Krishna Raj, will be joining us online. Professor, a big round of applause, please. Now I request our Honorable Vice Chancellor Sir and respected guests and dignitaries, HY Ma'am, to light the lamp and inaugurate the event, please. A big round of applause, please. Now, I'm delighted to introduce our knowledge partner, Washington University of Science and Technology, located in Alexandria, VA near Washington, DC, is a limited liability company certified by Virginia's ACC and ACHEV, accredited by ACCSC and recognized by the US Department of Education, WUST, offers career-focused undergraduate and graduate degrees in business administration and information technology. The university is known for its program in cybersecurity, IT, and business, along with soft skills training. With flexible learning options, online, hybrid, and on campus, WST is also ACBP authorized to admit international students and certified to sponsor the G1 program. Its vision is to provide affordable education that promotes intellectual, professional, and leadership growth. It gives me great pleasure to introduce the EP Foundation is wholeheartedly devoted to advancing academic research and fostering the dissemination of knowledge through various channels. This includes the publication of an online journal and newsletter, the felicitation of seminars and conferences, and the creation of edited volumes spanning a wide range of social science disciplines. The journal specifically delves into the interconnected topics of economy, environment, and politics, offering deep and insightful analysis and perspectives in these crucial areas of study. In essence, the Foundation's primary objective is to establish a platform that encourages the free exchange of ideas among researchers and scholars, fostering an environment of open dialogue and collaboration. Now let's take a moment to discuss about the theme of our conference, climate resilience. Climate resilience is the ability to anticipate, prepare for, and respond to hazardous events, trends, or disturbances related to climate. Improving climate resilience involves assessing how climate change will create new or alter current climate-related risks and taking steps to better cope with these risks. Striving for climate resilient development means reducing exposure and vulnerability to climate hazards, cutting back greenhouse gas emission, and conserving biodiversity are given the highest priorities in everyday decision making and policies on all aspects of society, including energy, industry, health, water, food, urban development, housing, and transport. It is about successfully navigating the complex interactions between these different systems so that action in one area does not have adverse effects elsewhere, and opportunities are harnessed to accelerate progress towards a safer, fairer world. Historically, efforts to mitigate climate change have taken precedence over building resilience to its impacts. It is increasingly clear that without far greater investments in resilience, efforts to address climate change could be outpaced by accelerating climate risks. We are trying to focus on these major and most important areas through our conference on climate resilience. Now, I request Honorable Vice Chancellor Sir, Dr. Sanjay Kumar Sir, to share some words and shower his blessings on us. Please, sir.
Professor Ujjwal Chaudhary ji, Vice President, Global Marketing, International Relations and Media Design, Education, Washington University of Science and Technology, Virginia, USA. Professor Krishna Raj, Professor, Center for Economic Studies and Policy, Institute for Social and Climate Change, Bangalore. Other distinguished speakers, Dr. Sanmitra, all my learned faculty members, and most importantly, the participants of this wonderful seminar for a day. We are going to talk on a very, very contemporary subject. So before I start talking about certain important aspects where all of us should be focusing, the world should be focusing, let me convey my heartiest greetings to all the organizers, HOI, and most importantly, my very, very enthusiastic and vibrant students of the School of Economics. I'm extremely delighted that slowly School of Economics has now getting into the realm of exposure towards the world phenomena, whatever is happening all around. So we have got to really take a giant stride to have such kind of frequent seminars, visits to the industry, and the research and innovation orientation. The subject what you have given and where the very renowned speakers are going to really share their thoughts process is very, very important. The climate resilience. Climate resilience is not the baby of an individual. Now the climate resilience has become the biggest threat for the humankind. If you really want to sustain on this planet, then we have got to look into this deadly phenomena, what is happening, all kind of an untimely changes of the climate. Resilience, I don't know how many of you understand the actual meaning of the resilience. Resilience, it can be anywhere. Many a times you must be hearing this word. What is resilience? Resilience means it's a capability. If I say the human resilience, it means that human resilience means it is a capability of an individual or the human being to bounce back after facing certain untoward situations or certain emergencies and anything which is not desirable. That is what is the climate, even what the climate used to have it, and in last 2 decades, how the climate has been degrading. Is there any way that we can go back? And that is what is resilience. It means bouncing back. You toss a ball, it goes up, hits the ground, and again bounce back. It comes to that kind of a position. This is what the resilience is. It is a capability of getting back, bouncing back to the original condition. Now, this is the major problem where all of us have got to put our focus intact. As I said, it is not an individual problem. It's a problem of the society. It's a problem of the state. It's a problem of the country. It's a problem of the country. It is a problem of the globe. And let me tell you, if it is a problem of all, then the problems can only be resolved and solved by putting a very, very collective efforts. And the collective efforts starts from the youth. It means once we start talking more and more about the problems will be coming up many more. Many facets will be highlighted. That is how. In recent past, we have seen the deadly pandemic, COVID-19, crashing economies all over the world, millions dying and thousands losing their jobs. The most existential threat that is before us is the climate change. Untimely climate change has now become the global problem. It is of the paramount importance that we start taking action collectively, not individually. Mind my words. The requirement is not that individual requirement, it's a collective requirement to save our beautiful planet on which all of us will reside, thereby enhancing the human life worldwide. The God has given us the life, the beautiful life, but it's our duty to save our life, to ensure that all of us we are in the state of the ecstasy, the happiness, thrill, excitement, and something which is great. So we have got to make this world and this planet a beautiful. The beautifulness is only with pleasure. And if the climate is changing so disruptively, then the pleasure will never remain. Let me also make you understand, I'm not a person from the economic background, but I do have very, very close thought of an views. I keep reading lot many things about the climate because definitely as an academician and a researcher is a matter of concern for all of us. Being myself as a scientist and engineer from the IIT Delhi and the DRDO background, I always look at this that every problem has got the solution. If the problems are really before us, then the opportunities are also lying under our feet. We have got to really explore that how this thing. If you look at my perspective to define the climate, could be also getting aligned with your perspective. The composite or the generally prevailing weather condition of a region, where we have got to see to this, what is the kind of a temperature, the air pressure, the humidity, the sunshine, the cloudiness, and the winds throughout the year, average over the series of years is known as the climate. It means the climate is not today's. And that is how there is a subtle difference between the climate as well as the weather. Many students, they have been using interchangeably, but today I would like to define to all my participants also. There is a big change in the weather and the climate. When we talk in our day-to-day conversation, we say, what is the weather today? It means that today's phenomena is the weather. Temperature could be 32 degree, 33 degree. Humidity could be 80%, 90%, and whatever it is. But when it comes to the climate, it means that over a period of time, that is how the definitions that says that average over a series of years is known as a climate. It means all of us across the globe, we have seen, we have read in our all, school days that there are lot many seasons that keep revolving and evolving. Now, if you look at this, all of us have known the summer season, the winter season, the rainy season, the autumn season. But now, can you tell me that summer season starts from this period to this period? The winter season starts from this period to this period. The autumn, the spring, when it is there. Now you can see to this, when is going to happen what? Nobody knows. It means that all kind of a forecast is going wrong all over the places. Today, let's say we are in the November. Tomorrow will be the December. Or let's say January, supposed to be the winter season. But many times you'll be finding that enormous heat. What the temperature is supposed to be here, that temperature is not there. And it is happening over a period of time. That is how the climatic changes are there. Unseasonal rains The whole globe, your country has been facing in many, many states. One side, on one hand, you'll be finding the drought, the other hand, you'll be finding is that is an absolute flooded. The whole villages and surrounding areas are getting inundated. So it means that the most important aspect today we are dealing and we are bringing to the focus for the world. Now, there are a couple of factors, and these factors are very, very important for all of us to understand that why we should be talking about the factors which are going to be responsible for the climate change. Is the first factor is abiotic factors. The second one is the biotic factors. And what is this abiotic? It means the which is not biotic is an abiotic. So when we are talking about this abiotics, it has got to do something with the altitude, your latitude, the ocean current, the topography, the solar radiation. In scientific terminology, we call it the solar radiations are called as an insolation. So how it is going to be falling on the earth and where it is going to be absorbed, where it is going to be scattered, where it is going to be reflected, every aspect of this thing. In the light of this, let's say in the science, you must have seen the phenomena of the diffraction, phenomena of the reflections, and lot many things in atmosphere. We have seen lot many layers of the atmosphere, starting from the troposphere, stratosphere. Thereafter, we'll be finding the ionosphere and then magnetosphere. Every sphere has got certain role to control and the balance. So ecological balance will only come when we are aware about these spheres, what kind of roles they are playing and what should be the human role. So we are looking at the biotic factors. It comes with the transpiration, respiration, photosynthesis, and decomposition. Now coming to this, the most important point over here is the greenhouse gases. Very, very important aspect where this seminar should be focusing on to this Earth's natural greenhouse. It plays a very, very important role in maintaining the Earth's energy balance. The greenhouse gases needed in atmosphere to regulate temperature to sustain the life. Sustainability of the climate is only possible when the sustainability of life is going to be there. For that, we have got to see to the greenhouses should be present, but in what proportion? And when it comes to the greenhouse, under the greenhouse gases, can you think of this water also come? The water vapor is also in a part of the greenhouse gases, although it is in a vapor, but it's in a part of the greenhouse components. The carbon dioxide is the most important gases. Methane, CH4. You must have studied nitrous oxide, N2O, and ozone, O3. Important aspect of things, which I will not talk much about the scientific phenomena, what is going to happen. That what is more important for us, the primary greenhouse gas responsible for about 3/4 of the emissions. Remember this, mainly come from the burning organic materials, coal, oil, gas, wood, and solid waste. Due to deforestation, forests have decreased, their ability to absorb carbon dioxide from the atmosphere has decreased. This is also an important aspect that carbon footprint reduction is one of the major issues today. All the scientists are facing here. The nitrous oxide, the all kind of proportions, the methane gases, they are going to be the toxic gases. You can see to this air quality index, 550 plus. The Delhi capital, we are talking about the new India capital, Delhi. It is having such kind of an air quality index. It's all human made. You just look at 3 decades back, what was the air quality index? Even other day when I was coming back from the airport and then midnight, I could see to this 95 on the roadside, it was showing the air quality index in Kolkata. Thanks to the all people from the Kolkata, they are the lucky ones. Even yesterday only, I think today only, I saw one board when I was crossing on the highways coming from my home to this place. I found 290. I'm going to say again, getting back into this kind of system. It means as the days progressive, it means with all kind of vehicular traffics on the roads, definitely the carbon emissions are going to be much more. The carbon footprints are going to be there. Ozone, important layer. Ozone is very, very, it's technically a greenhouse gas, but it depends on where it is found in the Earth's atmosphere. tropospheric near the surface. Troposphere is the basically one of the lowest surface after the earth, after this planet. Ozone is a powerful greenhouse gas, even in the trace accounts. So that you can see the stratospheric ozone or the ozone layer is opaque to ultraviolet rays. Why ozone layer is required? Let me tell you scientifically. We talk about all kind of transmissions, all kind of rays. The rays are only two types. As per the scientists, only the visible rays and the ultraviolet. The another rays in infrared. But we are concerned more about the ultraviolet rays. Ozone layers are the layers which reflect the all ultraviolet rays. And in all ultraviolet rays, you'll be finding this all kind of X-rays, beta rays, gamma rays, all are the very, very dangerous rays. When you go to the hospital, your X-ray when it comes, you ask the X-ray operator that how much time he exposes your body to the X-rays. You can see the fraction of second. Fraction of the second your body is exposed. Imagine a situation when if the ozone layer is not opaque and if it allows the entire ultraviolet rays falling on the earth, what is going to be there? I don't think that any human being will exist. The mankind will go off from here. Now we have got lot many aspects which need to be really taught today. So couple of things, the global warming we have been talking all through. What exactly the global warming is going to really change the world? You have seen these glaciers. We have been talking about all sorts of the glaciers. The glaciers are today, they are melting like anything. Melting of the glaciers, even you can see it in our Indian borders when the glaciers, Siachen glaciers, they're melting. And what is the impact? The direct impact, what you are finding is that when the glaciers it starts melting, all of a sudden we'll be finding the rivers are they start swelling. The rise in the level of the ocean. I don't know how many of you have gone to the Maldives. Maldives is basically just above the ocean. Now, if you can look at this, that when the whole glaciers they start melting, there is an expectation at least 2 meters rise will go in the ocean level. There will be no Maldives. The country like there are many countries like this. The Maldives have got 200 and almost 52 atolls. None of the atolls will exist if it is going to happen. So there are very, very important aspects of this. Ozone depletion is also one of our major concern. So far the climate change is concerned. Temperatures always is going to be on the rise. Why the temperature rise? And thereafter what exactly has got to happen? All of you have seen the Red Fort. Red Fort, you must have seen this kind of big, thick walls. What are these thick walls we have been? Today, all over the places, we are saying in this city, we are boasting of conserving the energy because the whole solarization we have done it. And then whole solarization means also it's one of the remedial measures for us that maximum sun energy should get converted. Although it is not sufficient for really cater for all that, only about 35 to 40% we could compensate through the solar energy. Rest other energy we are drawing from the grids, the electric grids. So we have got to understand these aspects, that how such kind of things are there, how we are going to reduce the, first of all, the carbon footprints, how to really have a balance, ecological balance. And these effects are not only on the humankind, it is on living beings. The important aspect here is we have got to really maintain the biodiversity and the ecodiversity. The effects on the human need to be really studied in the best possible manner. I'm looking at this, that what should be the remedial measures for all of us. Fossil fuel has been the main source for generating the energy across the globe. Even today, also 70% of the entire energy consumption is being generated through the fossil fuels. Any company which uses in massive quantity the coal, any one of you students, this could be one of your quiz questions. Any company, I'll give you a hint, public sector. Can you name one public sector which uses the maximum? Any one of you aware about this? I'm sure many of you may be aware. Couple of you may be aware. National Thermal Power Corporation. Where will be the NTPC? Absolutely. You said it. You can see to this the maximum generation. Then if the coal is being used for the power generation and the power requirements are not going to get lowered, then what should be the remedy for us? If the coal is going to be used in the thermal power corporation, definitely the effluent gases will be all over the places, and definitely the footprint of the carbons are going to be really increasing all over the places. The only answer lies for the climatic changes to be stopped and bring this all kind of ecological balances is use of the renewable energy. India has taken a massive and the giant leads towards having this. We have got megawatts, hundreds of the megawatts and the gigawatts plants are operative. So the solar energy, renewable energy is the only answer one can look at this. Energy and the water efficiency. We have been saying that Jal hi Jeevan hai. Everywhere the water is scarcity. Although one side you will find it that in the water all over the places there's a flood, but on the other side you'll be finding the water scarcity. We have got to understand this. The water is not the only water. The water has got to be made even the potable water. Potable water is the water which is really worth of drinking it. So we have got to see to this that whatever the jal we have, bina jal kal hai hi nahi. We have got to understand to this कि आज जल है तो फिर कल है. It means today the water is the existence, then only the tomorrow will exist. Otherwise tomorrow will never. Sustainable transportation means all over the places we are now looking at this, that consumption. As I told you in my opening remarks or the opening paragraphs, I was talking about the fossil fuel consumption. The second consumption is your oil consumption. Another important area. Do we have in terms of the, let's say, diesel, petrol, or any kind of mobiles, etc., they are also the primary sources for all kind of carbon emissions. The carbon gases, carbon dioxides, and related toxic gases are all basically emitted through this. So we have got to now look at this, that what kind of a renewable energy you can have it. Of course, the country and the entire globe is thinking of this going for the EVs. EVs are basically electric vehicles. And today you see to this, that the electric vehicles are running all through over the places. We must, I will also request all my students that whatever best possible, if you are using petrol vehicles or the diesel vehicles, if possible, the best part is go for the EVs. If not possible, then go for bicycle. That is the best thing. No consumption. The consumption is only your extra fat what you keep accumulating every day by eating all sorts of the food, which is unwanted food. But nevertheless, keep enjoying, but keep driving yourself and drive safe onto this. So transportation aspects is like hydrogen fuel we are talking about, the hybrid fuel we are talking about. Energy storage is only through the battery. And today, when the EVs they were invented, the only major problem what the globe was facing, the range, that how much the vehicle is going to really fly. Today, sometimes if you happen to be in the Mercedes showroom, go and then ask that top model of electric vehicle, how much the distance it can cover. Boys and the girls, I can tell you this is very, very important aspect should be brought to your kind attention. Today's the technology has advanced so much that you go to the Mercedes showroom very close to this place, not very far off, about let's say 10, 12 kilometers. Just for knowledge sake, I'm not saying that go and buy the Mercedes, but just for understanding and just ask them what should be the maximum range. Today Mercedes have come with a range of 750 and 850. Now this is the advancement of the technology. So we have got to see to this that if there are problems, there are solutions also. Could be possible that in initial stage, Tesla, you must have seen the equity share. You people are from the economics background. The equity share has, risen so much in the Tesla when it came out with a, I don't know how many times. I am not in the share market and the equity market, but definitely we go. It's increasing because the electric vehicles demand. Everything is a demand driven, the requirement driven. Today, all of us, we are talking about the all oil driven vehicles will be stopped. the registrations will get cancelled. Then what is the other way to go about? Going about is this. This is kind of a hybrid fuel, electric fuel. The smart grids are very, very important. All these electric grids, whatever the power generation which is coming, the megawatt and gigawatt, running from one side to the other side, from one corner of this country to the other corner of the country. We must have the smart grids and all hybrid grids where all renewable energy power should also get into the electric grids. And that is how, so that you generate a surplus energy and give it to the state. That's the concept today. The green infrastructure. What is this green infrastructure? Let me just draw your kind attention on the green infrastructure. Green infrastructure means all are the smart buildings. You must have heard about the smart buildings. What are these smart buildings? The smart buildings are the buildings. Those buildings have got their own self-sustainability. It means if there is a power requirement, the power requirements will all get catered through the solar panel generation. You have your own small little smart grid and you generate, and thereafter you will be able to do this thing. And if I have got to say that my university or your university is in a green university, on what all counts? If somebody is asking that, is your university a greenhouse? It has got some kind of a greenhouse effect. Yes, it does have. Your university, does it have the green campus? Yes, it has. The reason being, number one, we are generating the solar power on the rooftops. Anyone wishes to basically go and then see from here itself that all over the places the solar panels are there. The next part is STP, that is a sewer line treatment plants. We do have many of them. Then next one is a WTP, your water treatment plants. Also, I don't know how many of you have seen. Yes, rainwater harvesting, rightly said. The rainwater harvesting, that's another area, another important very area for all of you. That wherever you find some kind of a space on this, create an oxyzone. And oxyzone, the best plant what you can plant is a people tree. That people tree, wherever it is going to be planted, that will become the area after some time will become an oxyzone. And create an environment and a green environment all over the places what we have in our campus. These are all measures, because smaller areas, if you make it in a green area, definitely the carbon footprints are going to be drastically reduced. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the another area which I would like to again bring it to your focus is your habitat conservation, important area. Now, if you can look at this, the climate change has gotten a drastic impact, adverse impact on the mangroves. Mangroves are all going to be getting reduced one after the other. So we have got to take care of all those aspects. Ecosystem restoration is the biggest challenge in front of the globe. Community engagement, as I said, that's not an individual problem. It's a problem of the society. So all of us have got to work together. It's each one's responsibility. Soil health, very important. Why there is a drought? Why there is a reduction in the all kind of produce? Because the soil health is getting degenerated. All sorts of the chemicals, fertilizers we are using it, and not the natural fertilizers. We have got to see to this. The water management, the crop resilience, and sustainable livestock, important aspect. Another very important aspect where I will be, focusing your attention is, I don't know how many of you have heard about the locust. Locust, the drastic impact on the climate is the locust. We have seen in 2020, the whole country was basically impacted so adversely by the swarm of the locusts all around. जिसको हम हिंदी में बोलते हैं टिड्डीज, insects, कीड़े, flies, unwanted flies all over the places. They damage all sorts of the crops. They damage all sorts of the crops, and this migrations of the all kind of insects, it all happens because of the basically imbalances in ecology. My dear friends, there are a lot many things to be talked. I'm sure the distinguished speakers are going to talk quite a lot about on this subject. But in opening remarks, I have tried to summarize that these are the areas where the whole seminar should be focusing on to this. I'm quite confident the students of the economics will be taking a giant stride in making this seminar absolutely successful. And if you have got any kind of a doubts, etc., please don't leave any speaker and just ask all your doubts. I can see to this, Dr. Shakti, that everybody is over here, Dr. Devilina, wherever I am saying, Dr. Goshal, and Dr. Harsha, all over the places, I'm finding that everybody is equally competent, and all my brilliant faculty members, if I'm missing a couple of names, but at the same time, I understand that this department has got a lot of potential to really walk towards this. Wish each one of you a very, very happy, brighter future, and of course, a very, very healthy climate, so that all of us together can make changes, and that changes should be making this planet much more beautiful than what we have today. Thank you so much. Jai Hind. As always, I have been doing, and I'll not be failing in my duty. This is my very, very pet slogan. All of you are aware about this. Can you hint me, any one of you? Jai Hind. Of course, all of us belong to the soil of this country, and इस मिट्टी के हर कण में, every particle of the soil of this India is in our blood. So we have got to, whenever we have got to really see to this, that the thrill, excitement, the jill, enthusiasm, if you have got to generate, then you have got to generate from inside and from your inner heart. So along with me, fill your heart with a patriotic fervor, thrill, and a state of the ecstasy. And along with me, read the great slogan for this country, for your lovely country, Jai Hind. Are you guys ready? With the full energy and the synergy I want here. For the time being, decibel aspect we'll forget. That creates a little imbalance also, but never mind. So along with me, okay, if you can stand up, nothing like that. Pay respect to your country, and remember this, no matter how many seminars, WhatsApp, symposium, consortiums we organize, but most important part is that we organize ourselves as a big countrymen. The globe is our family. One earth, one family. That is the biggest slogan which has been given by the government of India. It is not only India. We have got to say Jai Hind for the entire globe, because Hind has got to contribute to the many countries. And today Hind is really, giving and leaving its indelible mark in all parts of the country, all over the places. In terms of you can see to this, all kind of a growing economy or anything in this world, all advancements are taking place over here. That's why this is very, very important when we start any kind of a function here. So along with me, together, with a great Josh, let's rent this slogan. Jai Hind! No, energy is the full energy has got to come. So no, I don't believe in the half throttle, full throttle. As we fly the aircraft, we put the full throttle, means maximum energy in the maximum gear, the top gear. So all of us in the top gear now. Jai Hind! Thank you. God bless. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, our Vice Chancellor, Sir, Dr. Sanjay Kumar, sir, for such inspiring, kind, and insightful speech. It has really motivated all of us. Now, I would like to request HR ma'am, Dr. Sanghamitra Brahma ma'am, to take over the stage for a while.
No matter how many times we listen to our Honorable Vice Chancellor, sir, when he is addressing the students or any type of audience, it's always so mesmerizing. And he always finishes with these words of patriotism, which energizes us. I mean, rejuvenates us, so that, and that energy we carry with us till the end of the program and even further. Thank you so much, sir, for blessing us, enlightening us with your kind words. Now is the time to felicitate our Honorable Vice Chancellor, sir, and this we would love to do with the entire faculty team of Amity School of Economics, and of course, all other dignitaries from Amity, faculty members, uh, Dean Ma'am, Assistant Dean Ma'am is there. Also, I can see that Vidisha Roy Ma'am is also there. Please come up here on the dais so that we can felicitate together our very own Vice Chancellor, sir. Now,
Yes. Yes.
Now, moving forward to our event, to our next uh, theme speaker, before introducing our theme speaker, I am delighted and really excited to welcome Professor Krishna Raj, who has joined us online already. Welcome, sir. He is a professor at Center for Economic Studies and Policy, Institute for Social Science, Social and Economic Change, Bengaluru, India, who has kindly agreed to be the keynote speaker, and we are honored to have sir amongst us. Welcome, sir. Now, it is my privilege to introduce our distinguished guest professor, Ujjwal Kumar Chaudhary. Professor Ujjwal Kumar Chaudhary is currently the Vice President, Global Marketing, International Relations, and Media Design Education of Washington University of Science and Technology, based off Virginia. He has been earlier the Pro Vice Chancellor of Kolkata-based Adams University, Dean of Symbiosis and first Dean of Amity University, Mumbai, Pearl Academy and Westlink Woods International, all of India. He had been Dean of Amsterdam Film School and Strategic Advisor of Daffodil International University of Bangladesh. He had worked in the World Health Organization, Times of India Group, Z News and Business World. He runs a school for the talented children of marginalized fishermen families in the Sundarban area of Bengal and Bangladesh border. Please join me in giving him a warm round of applause, a big round of applause for him. So, over to you. Yes, sir. Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just a minute, 1 minute. How do I turn? This is a different system. How do I turn it full screen? Control F. Okay. Is it still good morning? I think so. It's good morning. It's interesting to speak to a group of future economists. More so because from India, 2 economists out of the 4 or 5 Nobel Prize winners, there have been 2 economists. Both have worked on poverty alleviation theories, whether it's Dr. Amartya Sen or Dr. Abhishek Vinayak Banerjee. And I believe the next economist, whether from India or anywhere else, who would hit a level like Nobel Prize or some senior level prizes will be from the field of environment economics, economics of the ecology. As has been rightly mentioned by the Honorable Vice Chancellor here, which was perhaps the theme paper almost, he has rightly said ecology is not just another subject, environment is just not another subject, but it's the essence of our existence. It's an existential issue. Once upon a time, when we were students, computers have just come in the horizon. And later on, IT and computer science became just another domain like many other subjects. But over time, we have seen that IT and computer science is not just another subject, it's a part of everything. Every business, every function, every profession. Exactly like artificial intelligence is now emerging to be an aspect of every domain that we study or we practice. And very soon, it's already so, but very soon, climate change and environment will be the essence of anything that we do. So I believe the topic climate resilience taken by the School of Economics here, which is, I'm told, a younger school, a school of 6 professors and around 100 students. This is a right topic because the economics of tomorrow will be based on environment or ecology. So it's environmental economics that's coming up. I would like to say that at the beginning. Second, it's good to be here today. I had come here earlier also and spoken to the media students long back. And perhaps this is the second talk, this time to another group of young people here. And personally, I would like to recount a small association with Amity. I was the first dean of Amity, Mumbai, before I moved to Dubai that time. And it has been a great experience knowing the largest brand with the largest number of universities in the private sector in India and several abroad. So good to be here. It's much bigger than what I saw when I visited last time. Moving ahead, since it's a theme paper, I will get into every component of the topic. Building resilience, so what is resilience? Climate change, so what is climate change? That has been defined earlier. And challenges, related challenges. So what are those related challenges? And sustainable future, what is a sustainable future? Asian context, obviously, more particularly India. Even as we meet here today, just now, 122 countries, senior representatives are meeting in Baku, the capital of Azerbaijan, for COP29. Conference of Parties 29, the 29th edition of global discussion and debate on what to do to secure a sustainable future. And it started a few days ago, will be ending day after tomorrow with a Baku declaration. I hope many of the points that we discussed today, many of the points that we take up today, find reference in the Baku declaration. So it's also timely because Amity Kolkata is discussing climate resilience exactly when 120 countries' senior representatives are discussing the same thing at a global level at Baku, Azerbaijan. A very beautiful city. If you would ever go, you would know how beautiful it is. So the first thing, climate change. So we will get into defining the first. So it has been already done by the lady who was introducing the whole theme at the very beginning of the day. Climate resilience is the ability of systems, communities, and individuals. System is by the government, by the state, by large corporates. Communities are communities living in a collective way, and individuals like us to cope with and recover from climate-related shocks and stresses. How has the world recovered from the rise of seawater? How has the world recovered from the increase of average temperature? How is Delhi recovering now? As I was showing to Sanghamitra Madam, 500 AQI has crossed today, and the schools and colleges have gone online. The campuses have been closed. How are we recovering or managing this crisis? At individual level also. If I just go to a different example, just to make, we have been talking quite serious things from the morning, but what I'm saying is also serious, but in a different context. 3 of my past students, all of them women, have had broken marriages in the first 24 months of their lives, of their married lives. One of them completely broken, and she is with her parents, not in a very healthy situation. The second lady, mentally healthy situation, neither physically. And the second lady took it upon her, managed to get a loan, went for a second post-graduation in US, completed her PhD, postdoc, all in a span of 6 years, and is now a professor in Westminster University. Has changed the city and now is a professor, assistant professor there. And the third lady, who had no interest in business, went back to her parents, joined the father, ailing father, in his business, and has taken the business 2.5 times turnover than what it was 6 years ago. So this is resilience, individual resilience. 3 cases, similar fates, different outcomes. How resilient are you to face a crisis? So there is, in case of climate, there are adaptive capacity. How can you adapt to the new situation? Ability to adjust, exposure, the degree to which the system is exposed to climate hazards. So if the hazard is bigger, the exposure is bigger, adaptability requirement is also high. Sensitivity, degree to which a system is affected by the climate hazards. These 3 components have to be taken into consideration. An increasing frequency and intensity of extreme weather events these days. There are enhanced and actual and potential impacts, agriculture, water resource, health. Many examples have been given by the Honorable Vice Chancellor earlier. So in Asian context, temperature rise and increasing frequency of extreme weather events, you are seeing all around. Just now, Bangladesh and a part of Bengal has faced a huge storm a few days ago. The Bangladesh had faced it much worse. Loss of biodiversity. Amazon forest is burning. Some say it is man-made, some say it is nature-made, some say it's hybrid. Man exacerbated nature-made. But then loss of biodiversity, rising sea levels and air pollution deterioration. This is not just now a matter of learning. This is a matter of life. And Delhi just now is facing that. You are at 100 or less than 100 AQI air pollution level. Delhi is at 500. What you face outside on the streets in Calcutta, just think 5 times of that. Your colleagues, your peers are facing in Delhi. So it's not just about dialogues and subjects to study. It's about reality. UN climate reports and latest COP29 at Baku, Azerbaijan, going between November 11 and 12, show these facts. I'm not getting into facts. Let's look at the bigger picture. Asia's unique vulnerabilities, large populations, rapidly urbanizing, economic dependency on agriculture. All my childhood till recent times, I've been knowing that we're the 2nd largest populated nation. And the first one, which has double the land and a slightly higher population, is China. Today, that same nation with the same double the land is lower population than us. That's not a great news. Large populations, rapidly urbanizing, economic dependence on agriculture, extreme heat in India, monsoon disruptions, floods across Bangladesh and Pakistan, vulnerability of Asian countries to climate change due to factors like population density, poverty, and rapid urbanization. India is the highest population of the world. Bangladesh has the highest population density of the world. Can you think of that? You go to Australia, there are 11 people per square kilometer. Bangladesh has 4,229 people per square kilometer. What a big difference. And that dictates the impact on life. So Specific challenges faced by Asian countries like water scarcity, air pollution, particularly world's top polluted cities of the world now are Delhi, Lahore, Dhaka, and Beijing. And we also face a huge coastal erosion. India has one of the largest coastal regions of the world. And the coastal erosion is a major challenge here. Climate change impacts we see in agriculture, crop yield variability is changing. Sometimes this crop, this time of the year gives this much yield, next year is very different. Water scarcity affecting livelihoods. Chennai, if anyone is from Tamil Nadu here, would know recently, only a few months ago, 7 days without water. And there was a huge crisis that has happened. By the way, 21 days without water has also already happened in Cape Town, South Africa. So there, it's not again a distant thing. Heat waves, we know about vector-borne diseases, dengue, malaria, Zika, Lyme, Chagas, various diseases. Dengue is dengue or dengue, whatever you say, is also common in Calcutta. Respiratory diseases from pollution, asthma. India is another major capital of asthma and diabetes in the world. Infrastructure, coastal erosion across Bengal, Odisha, Telangana, and Kerala, flooding in urban areas like Mumbai and Chennai. These are the impacts that we are seeing. As you know, Mumbai has one flood every year, which completely paralyzes the city. Economy, impact of GDP due to disruptions in primary sector, particularly agriculture and tourism. We know many facts on that. Now, understanding this impact. So we have understood climate change, climate resilience, the impact. How do we see the impact? Physically, we see in the rising sea level and coastal erosion. Coastal erosion, you understand, the area next to rivers and seas, the area keeps depleting, eroding. Extreme weather events, heat waves, floods, and droughts. Changes in precipitation patterns, heavier or lesser rainfall, leading to flood or drought, heavier or reduced snowfall. So these are the physical impacts of climate change. Then there are socioeconomic impacts. Impacts on agriculture and food security. We have enough food now at this point of time. In spite of food sufficiency and the system of public distribution system, what you call as ration in India, India is among the top 9 nations in malnutrition of children. That means we have the food, still there is malnutrition. Either it's a distribution problem or it's a inequality problem or whatever it is. Climate-induced inequality is also there. There are extreme areas where enough adequate food doesn't reach. Water scarcity and water equality issues, arsenic, we know Bengal water, how arsenic is involved there. Health risks, heat-related illness, waterborne diseases, economic losses and displacement, exodus of people from rural to urban areas. There are several villages. I mean, just now it was told that I support and run a school in Sundarban. 80% of the males of the village have gone into migration labor. They do not have enough work in the village that can sustain the families. They have gone to Chennai, they have gone to Bangalore, they have gone to Mumbai, they have gone to various other places, Hyderabad, to work as either construction laborers or in any other form as migrant laborer. So there is exodus there. So these are socio-economic impacts that we see of climate change. Heat waves and health risks, increasing frequency and intensity of heat waves, negative impact on human health, particularly vulnerable populations like the elderly and the children, continuation of the socio-economic impact. Water scarcity, I will go a little fast. There is huge negative impact on agriculture also, particularly smallholder farmers. A family has, let's say, 30 acres. Next generation, 3 people, it becomes 10 acres each. And it goes on decreasing, and the decreasing farmland has a problem of water. Everyone cannot afford to have the high cost water, water provisions that is required when the farm becomes smaller and smaller. So declining groundwater levels is also another reason for that. These days we see people go down, 60, 70 meters. Still they don't find water, the tube wells and all in many villages. Urban areas is even worse. So we say coastal region and sea level rise, and the very strong example of coastal challenges of water sea level rise and the challenges there is in Bengal and Odisha. Odisha has done some good measures to control, but still Bengal is facing Amphan, Ayla, Josh. The school that I'm supporting, Amphan took away the entire terrace of it. And I mean, it was not a plastered one, It went off and it has to be created once again. Actual and potential displacement due to unemployment and economic losses. COVID, we know the migrant population. I mean, if you've seen the film, Bheed, B-H-E-E-D, Bheed, crowd, that film shows how painful was the migrant movement after COVID. Roadmap to now, how do we go for resilience? So these are the problems. Last 7-8 minutes, we talked about the problems. How do you go about creating resilience? Resilience, the power to face it. So mitigation, one is mitigation. Mitigation means when you know something is happening, how do you protect it? How do you save it? How do you reduce it? Reducing greenhouse gas emission, this was told by the Vice Chancellor also. Importance of transition to low carbon economies. If you buy a car or a bike now, and henceforth, it must be EV. It must be EV because it's only a question of time, 4, 5, 6 years, the fossil fuel vehicles will be banned. By the way, it's already banned in Israel. And Israel banned it more than 15 years ago. 96% of vehicles in Israel do not run on petrol and diesel. And one reason was the fight of Israel with the neighboring Arab countries, which was the major source of fossil fuel. Israel also has some sources. That's why still 4%, but 96% goes on electrical and solar and many alternative ways, battery driven, many alternative ways, and even including the government vehicles and all. So reducing greenhouse gas emissions is one. Renewable energy resources, potential for solar, wind, and hydro. 9 days earlier, for 25 days, I was in Europe. Entire European skyline is full of windmills. Anywhere you go to Germany or France or Brussels, that is Vienna, Brussels, that is Belgium. Anywhere you go, you will only see, if the moment you cross the city and go into a long highway drive, the entire skyline is of windmills. So it's important, and we have also started that. In fact, India's goals are very high, 500 gigawatt of non-fossil fuel-based electricity capacity by 2030. We are much below now, but 2030. 50% of energy requirements from renewable energy sources by 2030. And hence I said, vehicles of tomorrow will ban fossil fuel. Better to get habituated and move to or migrate to EV vehicles. Energy efficiency, promote energy efficient technologies and practices in construction particularly. So one is mitigation, avoid. One is adaptation. It has happened. How do I adapt? How do I acclimatize myself? Infrastructure development, invest in climate resilience infrastructure, flood defense, drought resistance crop. Now there's new concepts. Even if drought comes, the crop will not be destroyed fully. So drought resistance crops like deep water and submergence tolerant rice, flood tolerant wheat, drought tolerant maize or millet. That's why millet has been promoted last year very strongly. As you know, India is considered to be the millet capital of the world. Early warning systems. Now, every government has invested, particularly Odisha, I find the early warning is very strong. Implement effective early warning systems for extreme weather events. Ecosystem-based adaptation. Protect and restore ecosystems to enhance resilience. Some ways of adaptation to start. Financing climate action is not enough only to think of ways from where will the finance come. So public-private partnerships encourage collaboration between governments and businesses happening in many contexts. Green finance, there's a new concept like green economy, green entrepreneurship, there's green finance. Mobilize green finance to support climate-friendly projects. International cooperation, strengthen international cooperation to share knowledge. Just now in Baku, Azerbaijan, the Indian delegation has asked for mobilizing $1.3 trillion every year till 2030 through grants, concessional finance, and non-debt inducing support to mitigate climate change. Whether we will have this allocation or not, we'll understand 2 days from now. But Indian contingent has asked for $1.3 trillion. Roadmap to sustainable future. Mitigation strategies, reducing greenhouse. We understand that this we have already talked about. Afforestation and reforestation. I find I'm extremely pained that the governor of Delhi, for whatever reasons, have asked for more than 500 large trees to be cut in some development project. There was a full forest on the verge of being cut for putting up a car shed, metro car shed in RA Forest in Mumbai. It was citizens' movement that stopped it. And there should be sensitivity in governance there should be sensitivity in the corporate sector to understand for creating something new, you cannot kill the nature. You create around it, let the tree remain and let the development happen. There are ways and means. And if at all, for a highway or for a bridge, you have to cut down. For every cut down tree, bring about 100 new saplings, because all of them will not survive the climate. So bring about 100 saplings. So afforestation and deforestation, one of the mitigation strategies. In adaptation strategy, greenpreneurship. Think of business. If you're thinking of business tomorrow, if you're thinking of entrepreneurship, entrepreneurship is not just in the ways that you know. There's a huge business possible in waste management. Do you believe that? The wasted food, the wasted garbage is now a source of great business. It's a great business. Now it will take time to talk about that, but there are many other ways. Think of herbal food. Think of herbal beauty care, health care. There are greenpreneurship that's are coming. So if we move to greenpreneurship, we do two things. One, green is future, so you're building a strong business. Two, you're also contributing to climate resilience, protecting the environment. So infrastructure resilience, building climate resilient infrastructure, flood-proof building, drought-resistant water systems, upgrade urban infrastructure, early warning systems, developing and implementing effective early warning systems for extreme weather events. So these are the things which are already being done, and the roadmap should bring this furthermore. Promoting climate smart agriculture, conservation, agroforestry, climate resilience agriculture, and similarly, water resource management. So these are the steps to be taken at corporate level, government level, and individual level. We'll give some more examples. Policy and governance. How strong climate policies and awareness can be created. I'll give some examples. Don't choose extinction. UN campaign in 2021 to raise awareness about urgent need to address climate change. Our only home. This is a huge campaign by various NGOs around the world on protecting planet Earth. Planet Earth is our only home. Climate Reality Project, founded by the former US President Al Gore. Everyone knows Al Gore has been very active in environmental activism. In 2006, his campaign on climate issues. Break Free from Plastic, global NGOs driven campaign, very active since 2016. I remember around that time, I was the Dean of Symbiosis, and we had Get Caustic with Plastic, a campaign done by students across Pune. And it had an impact. The Pune municipality brought in plastic-free character in Pune. The single-use plastic was banned as a result of this movement. And it was a student-led movement, Get Caustic with Plastic. They expressed it through drama, through films, through slogan writing, through various means, through awareness camps and all that. Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, IPCC, is a very well-known fact. In fact, IPCC is one of the Nobel Peace Prize winners in the past. Fridays for Future. This youth-led movement was initiated by Swedish activist Greta Thunberg. I am sure because Greta is your peer, your age group. So you know how this lady just stood firm on every Friday on a slogan, alone started, and thousands of youth have joined her later on. International cooperation, we talked about technology transfer, financial assistance to developing countries. Policy and public-private partnerships, we talked about it. Individual actions, how can we do? Now, before getting into that, I just remembered a small childhood anecdote. I was a student of Ramakrishna Mission, Arunachal Pradesh, along in my school days. And though often we had food from home, I was an army man's son, my father was an army doctor. So we had food from home, but many a time we actually joined the hostelites to have the common food that was served to the hostel students and the tribal students. And it was simple, basic, a boiled egg and a vegetable and a soup, dal and rice, that's all. But the critical part of it was, when we used to go, we had to take our own food from a buffet sort of system, and we had to wash our own plates. And I really love that, because I continue with the practice once in a while, even now. All my hostel days, the washing of the utensils, which my daughter never did. And today she's doing an MBA in Berlin, and she's cooking and washing every night and sending videos of that to us. So coming back to the school life. So when we went with the plate to wash the plates, there was a Swamiji. I mean, that time it was Maharaj, white dress. Swamiji is saffron, you know that. So Maharaj with a white dress with a cane in the hand. And he used to actually, literally, believe me, count the number of the rice grains on the plate. If there are 5 grains, pachta bet. 5 times hit of the came. It was such that we even desired to remain a little hungry and eat less, but not even one rice morsel on the plate. Even the dal had to be completely drunk. The bowl should be completely empty. It was so strongly brought inside our personality. Even now, I would take a little less than what I need so that I don't waste anything. And whatever you take. So I worked in one organization, India Autism Center. They had in the canteen written big, take as much as you want, but finish whatever you take. Please make it a point. Do not waste anything. So individual actions, reduce carbon footprint, energy conservation, sustainable consumption. What I just now gave an example is a sustainable consumption. Can you think of reducing power use? Can you think of reducing water use? Adopt sustainable lifestyles. I just gave one example. It also is about your dresses. Now, there is a concept of fast fashion and ethical fashion. Fast fashion, you buy because there is a festival. You buy because she has bought it, so I have to buy. You buy because you've got some extra money, so you have to buy. These purchases are not by need, but by certain other extraneous reasons. When you buy when you need, when you buy the right thing, when you buy the right dress, and when you buy something that you can preserve for long, is what is ethical fashion. So please believe in ethical fashion and practice if in sustainable. Adopt sustainable lifestyles, participate in community initiatives, community-based, community-led adaptation and mitigation project. Ralegaon Siddhi village. I had the privilege to visit this village. Has been complete. It was a drought-stricken, dry village without vegetation, green vegetation. One gentleman started a movement. His name is known in another context, anti-corruption movement, but his work in Ralegaon Siddhi is extraordinary, Anna Hazare. And he completely changed the village. It's water sufficient, food sufficient, and completely green today. And people do not leave the village to seek small employments outside. Yes, someone has become a different category, has to go to the city different, but the village is now self-sufficient. If this is community-led adaptation and mitigation projects, there is a group of African villagers, African origin villagers in the Gir forest of Gujarat. They are called Siddhi tribe. I'm sure some of you might know, particularly those from Gujarat would know. Siddhi tribes are people generations earlier, centuries earlier, their forefathers had migrated as laborers to India, maybe during British period or even before. So they had stayed back. So their successors are apparently looking like Africans, but they speak Gujarati, and they have an extremely sustainable lifestyle. Extremely sustainable lifestyle. The way they run their entire work, they don't need AC. They don't need, I mean, it's Gujarat, forests, and Gujarat is a hot place, usually. So they don't need AC, and they run their life very, very sustainably. We find that that's a subject of big research. In Andaman, the Jarawa tribes also run sustainable. That doesn't mean we get back to 2 centuries old lifestyle. I'm not talking about that. Even in today's lifestyle, it can be, and Europe has gone beyond US, has gone beyond Asia in showing how sustainability can be a part of life. And I'll give one example from the last trip that I just talked about. In Brussels, I find Brussels, capital of Belgium, I found that there was a village organic products village, organic products marketplace. And when I went there was people have come from the nearby places, what we would call villages, but those villages are like our towns, that come from there, and they're selling all the products which are certified organic products. And they are not at double or triple the cost of the non-organic products. So the point is people have started creating alternative market, sustainable products market, organic products market, where 100% organic products will be available. They have done it in pharmacies, in medicines. They are doing it in many other contexts. Europe is far ahead. So there's some role in the private sector. Global and regional policies, without getting into Paris Agreement, the Sustainable Development Goals, 2030, the goals, only 32% or 33% of that we have achieved till date. IPCC, there are many such examples. I'm not getting into the global and regional policies which have been done for climate resilience. India, some examples will take. So National Action Plan, Climate Change, NAPCC has been made. policy has been created. Renewable energy, I have just now said 500 gigawatt by 2030 is the goal. 500 gigawatt is big. Climate smart agriculture, new agricultural practices have been brought. We know about green revolution. Green revolution was about adopting technology for higher growth, higher yield. It has also negative impact also at times. And now what now is being done, National Mission for Sustainable Agriculture. How can we turn agriculture as much as possible organic? Paramparagat Krishi Vikas Yojana, Soil Health Card Scheme. These are the new things that are being done for climate smart agriculture in India. With respect to food and water scarcity, I'll just take this example of Maharashtra. We know Vidarbha has a huge drought and farmers commit suicides. The largest amount of farmer suicides happens in the Vidarbha region of Maharashtra. We know about it. Now, the new measures that have been done in the last 6-7 years, Jal Yukt Shibir Abhiyan, river linking project, encouraging crop diversification. If you have the same crop in the same land for 10 years, the land becomes barren beyond a point. So crop diversification and organic farming. So these are the things which will create new economy. When I say agricultural economics is the new frontier of economics, is the new area of Nobel Prize for economics in future, this is what you'll have to do. Agricultural economics from an organic or sustainable point of view. Urban economics from an organic or sustainable point of view. So these are the new things that are happening. There are many challenges, but there's no point of talking about challenges only. Let's talk also about areas which are evolving, which are hopeful, which can give some hope. That some of these, what I'm mentioning now, the coastal resilience. So we have already talked how rising sea level is creating storms and challenges. Now, mangrove restoration. This is a big, sir was telling the story of his friend who has taken up 1 million mangrove trees plantation, half of which he has already achieved. One young man rooting 1 million with friends and support of many people, 1 million mangrove. You know mangrove is a tree which has the roots above the soil and huge network of roots which holds the soil very firmly. And mangrove, Sundarban is known for mangrove. The school which I run is in Sankijan village in Jamtala block. And just next to that, the local club which started the school, now I have adopted it, but it started the school, Vivekananda Club, their volunteers have created a mini Sundarban, 15,000 species of trees there, mangroves included, and 7 small ponds there. Now, these are human over 10 years, over 8 years, people have created. And these require support, corporate, individual, and government. So mangrove restoration, river embankments. Now, how has Odisha government, today the same storm hits India, Bengal and Odisha. Impact is worse in Bengal, less in Odisha. Many reasons are there. And Odisha has been one of the biggest hit by coastal erosion and storms. So they have brought in dredging of rivers. Dredging means increase the depth of the river so that it can hold more water. Sedimentation increases. Flood warning systems, afforestation, blank area to be afforested, contour farming, housing pattern changes, and many others. It's taking time, so I'll not get into explaining each point, but these are the steps they've taken and actually protected the people of Odisha to a large extent, if not fully. Community training programs on disaster preparedness, erosion prevention. It started in Sundarban also. How do you prevent erosion? Embankment. How people can create embankment. You should actually go to Sundarban, in my opinion, and actually see how erosion is being stopped, how people are creating mangroves, how people are creating sustainable practices. This is real learning. Learning is not by seminars and conferences only. When it's okay, seminars and conferences, let us know about it. But knowing is no more useful. Knowing has to be turned into seeing and doing. So you need to really see how they are doing it. Community outcome, enhanced protection on storm surges and all is happening. Positive steps. Resilience in agriculture, example, I have already talked about. Green revolution was earlier. Same land, how do I increase the yield? So I bring in scientific inputs in that and I increase the yield. So that was green revolution. But today it's about precision farming. So how do I use technology like GPS, GIS, remote sensing, variable rate technology to actually protect the soil and also increase the yield? How do I do that? And precisely apply. Do not at random apply fertilizer, pesticides, because many of it actually creates harm to the soil. So precise application comes through precision technology. This is the new form that's coming up. Agroforestry and organic farming. Karnataka is showing light on that. Punjab, I was talking about precision farming in Punjab, and therefore increased productivity, improved soil health and water conservation happening. The progress of the country is in the states of India, is in the interiors of India. Energy transformation, renewable. Current status of India, rising adoption of solar, wind and bioenergy. Very good examples are there. Rajasthan has become the solar capital of India. Solar energy expansion in Rajasthan and Gujarat. Solar powerhouse due to desert, huge desert, no homes, direct sunlight. So solar parks, rooftop solar, apart from land allotments for solar parks, fiscal benefits, money being given, or tax benefits being given if you're doing a solar business. These have started in Rajasthan. Gujarat, solar manufacturing, government incentives to solar big time. We have seen that. Next steps, we need to promote energy storage and grid upgradation. Much of our energy is lost in transmission through the grid system because of old grid system. So promote energy storage. The way you store food in warehouse, there can be energy storage as well. So this is what is required as we go ahead. With respect to urban planning, I'll just give solutions part, creating green space, rooftop gardens and urban forests, improved waste management and pollution control. For example, Bangalore's waste management initiatives and green space development has been superb. I mean, Cubbon Park, if you have gone, and certain other parks there. So tree planting, urban forest, park development, lake restoration. They have taken up dead lakes restoration. The lake restoration, green building initiatives, they've started the journey quite strong. In my opinion, even better than Bombay or Calcutta. Case study, Delhi's fight against air pollution. It's in a bad shape just now, as I said, 500 AQI, but they have been doing steps like odd even policy, Diwali crackers ban, construction restriction. Just now, construction is banned. For the next 1 month, it's completely banned. Industrial pollution control, plantation. The sad part, the governor cut down 500 trees. I've already told that for some development project. There is always a reason for doing it, but the point is this reason as important in the long term is the question. So these are some examples of how solutions in urban planning is being done. With respect to climate, I'll just give an example of Kerala. How Kerala is creating, Kerala was a land of floods. It has been flooded several times. Very extreme floods that Bengal has not seen, that Kerala has seen. So what they are doing now is sea walls, concrete or stone walls constructed along the coast, revetments, sloping structures made of rocks or concrete blocks to dissipate wave energy. Wave is an energy. If you make an embankment like that, it has the chances of breaking also. If you have a sloping one, there is the wave energy is reduced when it strikes. Groins, structures extending perpendicular to the shoreline to trap sand and reduce erosion. Breakwaters, offshore structures designed to absorb wave energy and protect coastline. They are doing beach nourishment, dune restoration, integrated coastal zone management is a policy ICZM that they have taken up. In this manner, they are trying to protect the coastal region. Just without getting into details, I'm moving ahead. Improving water management, I'll give one case study, Telangana's Mission Kakatiya. Kakatiya rule is a historical rule which was very successful in the old-time joint Andhra Pradesh, in which it was very well known. The first irrigation network of Andhra Pradesh was started by Kakatiya, the dynasty, Kakatiya dynasty, even before the British. Now, remembering that, their flagship program of Telangana government aimed at restoring and rejuvenating minor irrigation tanks across the state. Mission is named as Kakatiya dynasty, known for extensive irrigation. Revival of tanks they are doing in a major way. So one case study there, one case study with respect to health. Now, Ahmedabad Heat Action Plan, a model for mitigating heat wave impacts with early warning system, public health measures and all. And Aam Aadmi Mohalla clinics in Delhi and Punjab to handle the small challenges due to climate change, health challenges. So these are examples of some good action happening. With respect to conservation and ecosystem, wildlife conservation in Kaziranga is a good example. Again, not getting into details, how they are involving community, how they are doing flood management and advanced surveillance. Tamil Nadu Wetland Mission, very, very good. Desilting, repair of embankments, removal of invasive plant species. Plants are of two types. Some plants create or support or rather lead to weakening of the soil and more erosion. And some plants control the soil, make it stronger and actually avoid erosion. So invasive and non-invasive, two types are there. And biodiversity preservation they are trying to do through this. And technology innovation, yes, IoT. Now, IoT, we know, is usually used in technology parks, STPI, software technology parks, and all that. How they are integrating sensors, actuators, and cloud-based analytics to understand water storage and water, the possibility of water coming in future. So water efficiency is increased by these technologies today. Very good. India's Digital India Wave policy itself is real-time data access and awareness. So data access and awareness creation about natural resources protects the environment quite well. Community engagement, many self-help groups for disaster response in Odisha, environmental education going all over. I really like that all over the country in school, environmental studies or ES has become a compulsory subject. Environmental Day, 5th June, Forest Week, which is in July, and tree plantation schemes, almost largest number of institutions around, particularly school. I wonder why the higher education institutions are only fixated on what will help in my placement. Your placement will only happen when the world survives. So please also look at the issues of world survival around you. These are the things that we need to also do. Challenges, financial constant, technological limitations, policy institutional barriers are always there. But opportunities, green economy, I just talked about the Europe's green entrepreneurship, green jobs, innovation and entrepreneurship and international cooperation. There are opportunities there as well. Without getting into any further detail, I'll just say, I'll remember one sentence of the man who has been repeated every time but followed very less, Mahatma Gandhi. The future depends on what we do in the present. We say we have got this planet as a successor of our past generation. No, we have got this planet on loan, on credit from the future generations. What you leave for the future, this moment is very significant for that. It's really sad that in 21st century, 2024, there is a war which has killed 60,000 people, 42,000 of them men and children, and still the world is watching in Palestine. It's a pity that yesterday, 1,000 days of Ukraine and Russia war is completed. So many people have died, so much of damages have been done, and now Russia is threatening with nuclear bomb, which will be the first use of nuclear bomb if they actually do it after Second World War, after Hiroshima, Nagasaki. We know what happened to Hiroshima, Nagasaki. This is indeed sad that world over, the situation has actually worsened in many aspects. But then efforts have to start from grassroots. There are many things that have happened in the world also where efforts started from down. One man working on a World Bank project went to a village. Two women come to talk to him. Please give me some money. Why? You want to survive, buy food? No. I want to start this small business. We can make gamcha. You know gamcha? Towels, the handmade towels. We can make that, but we don't have the first 20,000 rupees. Just give me 20,000, two women, middle-aged. And both of them said, our husbands have divorced, they've gone and all that. Gone to the city, our children are here. So give us 20,000 bucks on loan. We promise we'll do the work, make income, make a surplus and come and give you. That man said, these are jokes there, but they are very sincerely telling, so he had 20,000 extra, he gave, and he said, please give your address. He was smiling, well, you won't ever come. Well, please give the address. Address and phone number taken, and no guarantee, no collaterals, 20,000 was given. He went back, project was over, he went into other activity, forgot. 11 months later, 6 o'clock in the morning, there's a knock on the door. He opens, the man and his wife opens it, and those two women are there. They are standing with 23,000 rupees, 20,000 and 3,000 interest. 23,000, they forced the man to take the money back. They were well fed and taken care for a day. They went back to their village. This made the man think, if I can give collateral loan based on community security, based on sincerity of the project, and if that can be done at a mass scale, this can revolutionize the economy from the bottom. That's how Grameen Bank, Muhammad Yunus was born. And that's how Muhammad Yunus and Grameen Bank got the Nobel Prize of Peace, as you know, from Bangladesh. And that's how first ever Nobel Prize winner has become head of state today after the revolution, whatever has happened in Bangladesh. So the point what I'm trying to say, there are still examples. There's this lady, I forgot the name of Kenya, who also got a Nobel Prize. She planted 50 million trees across Africa. I forgot her name with W. That lady's name, always with a headscarf. Her picture is always the headscarf. 50 million trees with thousands of school students only. So there people used to mock at such heads or seniors who talk about children only. I mean, I have interviewed Abul Kalam, APJ Kalam, president, when I was Symbiosis Dean. And APJ Kalam is only talking about children below 18 years as a president also. And people used to think, oh, he doesn't talk about serious issues. That is the serious issue. That is the serious issue. And today, he's the people's president. I mean, we have seen many presidents. There is a president even now. There was a president before. Many, you'll forget them. But you'll not forget APJ Kalam, and you will not forget Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan. Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan, because of his education, because of his knowledge, Rajendra Prasad, because he's the first president, and APJ Kalam, because he was people's president. He was children's president. He was the future generation's president. So before I complete, I would like to urge upon you to look at ecology and environment, climate change and resilience as the next frontier of economics, as the next frontier of your research. I could have spoken about university, maybe some other day. My very able colleague, Mr. Sorin Dattarai, the Director of Global Marketing, is here. Anyone interested to know about Washington University more, he is the right person to guide you, counsel you. But today I would like to end with this appeal. We have destroyed the ecology. It's up to you to protect it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for such insightful and kind words. All the participants and the students and we all who are present over here, we all thank you together for motivating us and let us think in such a critical way. Thank you so much, sir.
I would take this opportunity to say a few words for Professor Ujjwal Kumar Chaudhary. Sir, it's a privilege to have you here with us today. Just to mention that it's like a reunion for both of us. Sir was Pro Vice Chancellor in Adams University. Particularly, he was taking care of international relations and outreach. And also, Mr. Shorin Dattarai, he was also my ex-colleague in Adams. We happened to somehow accidentally, I think, we had an interaction. Shorin sir had an interaction with me, and then he was mentioning that what they are doing in Washington University. And during that interaction, I happened to mention that we are organizing this conference very shortly. And then we started thinking if we can collaborate while organizing this event. And then it was very kind of them to agree to come here. And Ujjwal sir, in spite of his very busy schedule, has found some time to come and address our students on this topic. And the entire discussion was so pertinent, so relatable. Every instance that he has taken up is, any student can relate to it so well. And with that, my words are nothing, but still, it's just a petty effort to thank you, sir. And just one more last thing. Dear students, when sir was mentioning how in Ramakrishna Mission, certain values were instilled among the students, and from there, it just occurred to my mind, every day in the lunch hour, I go to the canteen, and something that I observe over there, that separate staff are actually employed to clear the plates. Whereas it is nothing. You have your food and pick up your plate, put it in the proper place where the waste plates, dirty plates are kept. So just few of you who are present over here, take a pledge that hereafter, today onward, we will do this little bit and bring about a little change in our day-to-day habits. Because when we are at home, I'm sure all of you clear the table when you're having food. So why not do the same in the college as well? And also spread this, practice. Like when you do it, people sitting around you, they will see and they will adopt. So this is just a very, very simple instance. Similar manner, we can bring lot of changes. It's all about the awareness within and set an example for others to follow. And with that, we can definitely change the world and make this world a better place. Thank you so much. Over to ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Now I'm really excited to welcome Professor Krishna Raj sir, who needs no introduction, but I have to introduce him formally. Dr. Krishna Raj is professor at Center for Economic Studies and Policy, Institute for Social and Economic Change, Bangalore, India. Currently, he is the vice chairman of Academic Program Committee of ICRC. He has successful 25 years of service as a researcher, teacher, supervisor, policy advisor to central and state governments, and expert committee member of various committees. He obtained PhD in economics from University of Mysore. Most of his work is in the field of environmental economics. His research focuses on inclusive growth, climate change, and sustainable development. His research includes forests, property rights and deforestation, Western Ghats, climate change, and efficiency of water supply and demand management in New York and Bangalore cities, state action on climate change, economic instruments for environmental conservation, ecotourism in Nagarhole and Bandipura national parks, urban air pollution and economics of traffic congestion, non-performing assets, and so on. Earlier, he served as Indian Council for Cultural Relations Chairperson Professor on Indian Economy under the Ministry of External Affairs, Government of India at Hankook University of Foreign Studies, Seoul, South Korea during 2011-12. He was a visiting scholar at the University of Wisconsin, AUK, USA. He is awarded with Sir Ratan Tata Trust Research Fellowship for collaborative research with University of Wisconsin, USA during 2013-14. He received Sir Ratan Tata Trust Research Fellowship to undertake collaborative research with Watershed Institute, University of Wisconsin, USA. He had undertaken collaborative research with University of Guelph, Canada on water conflicts in Cauvery River Basin. He also visited University of San Francisco, USA. He is the visiting professor of IMPRI, New Delhi, Kannur University, Kannur, Kerala. Earlier, he was a visiting faculty at Bangalore Dr. B.R. Ambedkar School of Economics, University, Bangalore. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Krishna Raj with a big and warm round of applause. He has already joined us.
Thank you, Dr. Debalina. My audio is okay with all of you? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, you are audible, sir.
Oh, yeah, excellent, excellent. Thank you. So, good afternoon, one and all. It gives me immense pleasure to meet all of you online. I thank Amity School of Economics for this important conference on the climate resilience. And I think, I hope this is the first conference in economics that is mainly focusing on building resilience against climate change. I wish you all the success for the next 2 days conference. I remember all of my friends and economics fraternity there, and including the Amity School of Economics faculty and students, and Professor Anindya Gupta, a professor of economics, Netaji Mahavidyalaya, and is also editor, economic policy and Environment. I hope Professor Achirasu Acharya is also there. And I attribute this keynote address to our beloved professor, Professor Rabindranath Bhattacharya ji, who has been taught me and who has been in touch with me still his last days. I pay my gratitude and tribute to Rabindra Bhattacharya ji. So I focus because the earlier speaker, both VC of Amit Sanjay Kumar, as well as the theme speaker, Professor Ujjwala K. Chowdhury, they have extensively spoken about the climate change and various themes. And I am left with a few ideas, but still, as a keynote speaker, I would like to share some of my views or ideas on the topic. Let me introduce you to the economics of climate change, why we have reached this stage, and why we are talking about the climate resilience today. So if you recall 20 years back, if we talk about climate change, no one would accept us. They were saying that there is no climate change because it is a natural phenomenon and nothing uh, like that, climate change. And so almost there was criticism against the economists or who were talking about climate change. So even I argued with many of my colleagues way back in 90s and 2000 about climate change and other issues. But today, everyone talks about climate change and everyone has accepted it has become reality now. But we are moving towards resilience, adaptation, or mitigation after accepting the term or parlance climate change. You would know that climate change is induced by relatively recent economic development under capitalism. Climate change is a global or transboundary negative externality with high carbon growth in recent years because almost all the economies are depending more on carbons for their economic growth. Therefore, we have reached this stage. Already VC has explained the signs of climate change, how the gases, greenhouse gases are uh, stranded in the atmosphere, particularly the stratosphere, and they are pushing back the energy emitted from the Earth. Therefore, the globe is warming up day by day. And the impact of climate change includes extreme temperature, severe droughts, and floods. The floods have become very serious nowadays. Insect outbreaks, already Professor has talked about that, and health impacts like COVID-19 and declining water resources, increased wildfire, reduced agricultural yields, and others. So these are the few issues I have identified for our discussion, but there are large number of impacts due to climate change. This is mainly attributed to the rapid industrialization, mass production, and mass consumerism under the economic model of capitalism, which have squarely undermined the role of natural resources or environment. The cost of climate change are highly pervasive in nature. You might have seen the report, the Stern report on economics of climate change, the Stern review. He observed that economic costs of climate change are significant and capable of severely aggravating economic and environmental problems, particularly in poor countries where economic resilience is very, very low. So this implies that world economy is richer and environmentally poor due to emissions of greenhouse gases and consequent climate change which imposes high economic, environmental, and health cost on every one of us or on the society at large. Look at the recent United Nations IPCC Assessment Report 6, which clearly reveals that the there is a increasing demand for and demand depends on fossil fuels has led to increase in the average global temperature to 1.5 degrees Celsius by 2040 and later 2 degrees Celsius by the end of the 21st century. So this is even going to be more alarming if you take some of the examples in the coming slides, the picture or data, what I am going to show to you. So it is further projected by the UN IPCC AR6 that if the present rate of increase in greenhouse gases continues, the world will obviously fail to limit the world's average temperature by less than 2 degrees Celsius. So already the world has been warmed up. If it continues like on this rate on an average, then we are not in a position to subsist or live on this earth. Already many species, small species, have been dying because of warming of earth, and the others are trying to adapt. As a result, we are getting COVID-19 type of disease because they are originated from animals to human beings. They are encroaching. We encroached their habitats, therefore they are coming back to our habitation, and we are living in this uncertain world. This report states that unequivocal that humans have warmed the planet, causing widespread and rapid changes to Earth's oceans, ice, and land surface. So you can understand from this flow chart how we warmed up the world. Economic growth leads to emissions of CO2 or other greenhouse gases through our economic activities like driving, heating through cooking, and industrial production, and air travel, etc. This gives rise to emissions of CO2 and concentration of greenhouse gases in the stratosphere, and other forces lead to climate change. So this climate change includes rise in the average temperatures, high precipitation, sea level rise, droughts, and uh, decreasing agricultural yield, etc., disease, etc. So this further leads to climate change imposes ecological and economic impacts, lower corn yields, coastal flooding, ocean acidification that leads to formation of more and more cyclones because we are living in a tropical country where we can find more and more cyclones are coming, and onslaught is on coastal areas. So we have reached this stage already. Climate change imposes ecological and economic impacts, but we are moving towards climate resilience or adaptation and mitigation. So climate change policies, even we are talking about COP 29 at Baku, Azerbaijan, and there are various governments, they are involved in policy making, how to make this world livable. So climate change policies, they are trying to reduce emissions, greenhouse gas emissions, and impose cap and through other economic instruments like carbon taxes, trade restrictions, and regulations. As a result, we can reduce the emissions of greenhouse gases and make economic development more sustainable one. This is how the world is approaching, but that continues to be very uncertain because of various reasons I am going to explain. So what went wrong? Economist and neoclassical economics. So the economist wielded the extraordinary power of ideas that ruled the world economies. You know that because of economists, we have reached this stage. Of course, the many economic policies have helped to take us to this high standard of living. So economists shaped and swayed the world economies in the last 7 decades after 1950s Second World War, when all countries became independent. So economists are responsible for creating the abundance, that is wealth, as well as poverty or squalor in this world. So we have to accept, we have to admit. So we are responsible for creating wealth. At the same time, we are creating inequality and unsustainable development because of our models, our theories which supported these type of economic policies, including the capitalistic economic policies. So the story of economic growth was tremendous, which drastically improved the living conditions and also created inequitable and unsustainable economies as cost of living are increasing in recent years. So this shows that the idea of economists are both they are right when they are wrong. So if you look at some of the policy initiatives since 1970s, how we are going, in which direction we are going. So divide of ideas of economic growth. So there are agreements and disagreements about economic growth and environmental conservation, etc. There is complete divide of ideas about economic growth and development even today. There was a caution by the Club of Rome limits to growth way back in 1980s. It says that a finite world of finite resources will not support indefinite growth in the extraction of those resources. So already Professor Ujjwala was talking about the population growth and density of population in Bangladesh, and also the highest populated country in the world, India. So this is a finite world we are living, but uh, we are consuming and producing goods and services which are going to be um, affected our growth and sustainability. So this is indefinite growth in the extraction of both renewable and unrenewable resources that limited our capacities to develop resilience. So followed by the World Commission on Environment and Development, 1987, it gives a term called sustainable development, and it also defines what is sustainable development. It says that meet the needs of the present generation without compromising to meet their ability to meet their own needs. It means that you can meet all your needs, not your greed. At the same time, you keep some of the resources for they are meant for the future generation or for our siblings. Otherwise, the development will be undermined or development will not be lasted forever. Following that, there was a Earth Summit attended by the children of the world countries in Rio de Janeiro, where they declared that the whole world belongs to the future generation, not to the present generation. So therefore, we should understand the intergenerational and intragenerational equity, where and how we should use the resources of the finite world. If you look at the policies of the multilateral organizations, including uh, International Monetary Fund and also World Bank, which constantly support economic growth based on the capitalism. They promote the policies throughout the world because under the WTO, whereas some of the organizations, multilateral organizations such as United Nations Organization, which calls for sustainable development through sustainable developmental goals, and the United Nations IPCC and UNEP and other some of the organizations, they are trying to push the idea of sustainable development, whereas the dominant school of thought is that the capitalist they dominate even today in their policies. So what happened? It is a climate change. We have reached the stage of 1.5 degree Celsius by 2040. Already 1 degree Celsius has been increased. So it is a disaster of and for economic development. So economic development does not depend on four sources or four factors of production. More importantly, economic development depends on more on climate change, the another important factor of production. This includes water, includes ecosystem services, includes the availability of all these natural resources for producing whatever you want to produce. At least if you can remember, you can recall the Delhi's air pollution, which is alarmingly higher, uh, which clearly shows that we are not living in a sustainable world. So it is a more than 500 ppp, parts per million, ppm. So it shows that the air we breathe is not free. So as a result, the average temperature has gone high. As a result, the cost of ignoring the rules of nature by the high carbon economies is the result. So therefore, I call it as climate change is a recipe for economic disaster. Why this has happened? Because emissions of greenhouse gases is unprecedented, and the contribution by different economic activities are including electricity and heat generation 25% it contributes, industry contributes 21% for greenhouse gases, agriculture 24, transportation 14, and building 6%, and other energy 10%. So this graph clearly shows that the red bar where the global average temperature has increased over a period of time, especially after 1940s. So except some years, the on an average temperature was dipping. Otherwise, on an average temperature has reached 1 degree Celsius in 2020. This is mainly due to high dependence on fossil fuels such as coal, oil, and gas. Even today, they meet world's 90% requirement. Even though we talk about the renewable energy sources, but even today, the world is depending on fossil fuels for their economic growth, or they are the engine of economic growth. So whereas other sources of energy, including renewable and modern biofuels, solar, wind, hydropower, nuclear, they have their own limitations. I will explain whether technology can solve some of the problems we are facing, and I have some doubts. So, but till today, we are heavily dependent on fossil fuels. Look at the total energy consumption breakdown. China is consuming highest because of its fastest growth in the 80s and 90s, even 2000, and which is consuming highest in terms of million tons of oil equivalent, 3,381, followed by United States and followed by India. So India is picking up because of its growth rate is on an average more than 7.5%, and it is heavily dependent on fossil fuels, even though it is promoting renewable energy. So this is how the countries are moving for high carbon growth. But CO2 emissions, if you take CO2 emission, this is dependence on fossil fuels, energy consumption, and this is emission of CO2, million tons of carbon dioxide equivalent. So the same path is followed. China is highest consumer of energy and highest producer of CO2, followed by United States and followed by India. So there are other countries also, but these are the three major countries which are consuming more energy. Um, Even though per capita energy in India is low, but given the population, the consumption is very high. So increasing energy use in Asia, China alone consumes 24% of the world energy when compared to. So the Asia is the biggest challenge for energy demand and consumption. Whereas energy use per capita in the world, India is having even today very less. It is 1.57 tons per person, whereas United States per person is 14.95 tons. So the per capita CO2 emission is this much, but CO2 emission by an Indian is 1.57 tons. But if you look at India, even today, India is consuming high oil, gas, and coal. But it is dipping, but still it will go up to 1940s. The dependence on coal, oil, and gas will continue. So recently there was a very important report, Production Gap Report 2023. I just gone through a few days back. It clearly shows that whether the countries are following the climate regulations or climate policies very strictly or not. The 2023 Production Gap Report, Facing Down or Facing Up, is the title. So the top fossil fuel producers plan even more extraction despite climate promises, finds that governments plan to produce around 110% more fossil fuels in 2030 than would be consistent with limiting warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius and 69% more than would be consistent with 2 degrees Celsius. So it clearly shows that the dependence on fossil fuels are continuing, even though there are various climate action policies, Kyoto Protocol, and Paris agreements. So you know that the Trump, who has not agreed earlier for the Paris Agreement, and he wants to aggressively promote industrial growth, and he declared America is first. For him, America first. And he developed a policy called he does not want to encourage EVs, electric vehicles, and even in this election campaign declared that he does not want more EVs, electric vehicles. So this is how the paradoxes, policy paradoxes, and politics is involved in decision making towards sustainable development or climate mitigation. Look at this fossil fuel production, and this is the government plans and projections, the red line, and stated policies, announced pledges, 2 degree Celsius consistent, 1.5 degrees Celsius consistent. This clearly shows that the production of fossil fuels will continue till 1940s. So is a process along with fossil fuel supply chain, which includes locating, extracting, and processing and delivering coal, oil, gas to consumers. Even some of the Gulf countries in the last COP meeting, they questioned the science of fossil fuel, which is causing climate change. So this is how world is moving in the direction of profiting more than for the common cause, like common good, like climate change. Look at the individual production, global fossil fuel production, coal production, oil production, and gas production. Coal production is going to increase. Later in 2030 onwards, it may come down. But oil production and gas production will continue till 2050, even 2050. We can't reduce the dependence on oil production and gas production. But coal somehow is the highly polluting industry, red category industry. But India is dependent more on thermal electricity production. So it may not be feasible for it to go for without coal production also. So this is the situation which has arrived. As a result, the world grapples with fossil fueled floods. You might have seen in recent events of floods in Europe, Sweden and Switzerland and France, even UK. Almost all the countries have faced the fury of floods. So what we need to do at this stage? Relevance of collective climate action. Yes, I already mentioned the COP29, which is now taking place at Baku. At this time, it is a good time to organize this conference and discuss some of these important issue. They are moving towards what they call it as investing in a livable planet for all. This is the slogans they have this year. There is an urgent need for collective climate action by the world countries. The 29th Conference of Parties to the United Framework Convention on Climate Change has already taken place in Baku, Azerbaijan, from 11 to 22 November. The slogan is investing in a livable planet for all. It is a time to act to tackle the climate crisis together. Otherwise, we will face many costs and crises in the coming years. So the countries need to identify sectors and regions and test policies and deploy appropriate technology, improve processes, production processes, methods and tools that may help societies and nations to better adapt to the many impacts of a changing climate and become more resilient to climate. So there is an urgent quest or mission to pursue climate resilience to face the many social, economic, and political problems associated with. So fostering resilience and capacity to adapt is the need which will uh, drastically change the behavior of the people in terms of production and in terms of consumption. Already, some of these conceptual issues have been clarified by the earlier speakers. I am not going in detail about the conceptual issues, but I will highlight some of the main points here. So the effectiveness of climate change policy depends on the level of greenhouse gases emissions and how the state system respond to these emissions through two-pronged approaches such as mitigation and adaptation. So there are only two approaches to climate change. One is mitigating the greenhouse gases, and second one is the post-climate or before climate. We need to adapt to the situation. So in this regard, the climate change causes three types of issues or problems. One is climate change is has led to sensitivity, resilience, and vulnerability. The previous speaker also has explained about this. The sensitivity means is the degree or magnitude or rate at which economic and environmental systems are affected or stressed either adversely or beneficially by the variability in climate change. If you know, some of the countries are sensitive because they are living coastal area is vast, just like West Bengal and Bangladesh. They are facing the coastal submergence, and they have talked about the importance of Sundarbans and also the important mangrove forests. So what about resilience? So resilience is the ability of an economic and environmental system or society to recover from the effect of an extreme climate variability that might have caused harmful impacts. So the floods, the cyclones, they have become a normal nowadays. So as a result, how we overcome from these climate variability or impacts is the uh, big challenge. As the previous speaker has mentioned, at least Orissa has developed some of the areas which are affected by the floods and the cyclones. They have developed at least Pakka house that mitigates the chances of death, human deaths and animal deaths, whereas the property roads, etc., and infrastructure and agriculture would be highly affected because we are not in a position to protect them. So vulnerability is the extent to which an economy or environment is unable to cope with the negative impacts of climate change, variability, and extremes. So the India is positioned in vulnerability situations. We don't have economic resilience, and as a result, most of our people are even today they are poverty line about say 40%. if you take the standard of multidimensional poverty index, access to house, access to income, access to employment, access to housing, health, and other basic needs. So nearly 40% of the Indians, they don't have access to all these resources. They are certainly in vulnerability situation. You might have seen in Delhi how many people have died because of extreme heat weather. So they were taking shelter under the these roads, not just shelter under the flyovers and others, tunnels. So in this regard, even the economics of climate change stern review has warned, and he has also given some suggestion how to overcome these type of problems in the developed and developing countries. The mitigation and adaptation as behavioral change in the post-COVID-19 is the need of the hour. And he states that, the Stern report states that an uncontrolled emissions of greenhouse gases will lead to potential climate change, which in turn imposes high degree of environmental costs. So therefore, economics, on the other hand, even though it is considered to be a root cause for climate change, but at the same time, economics is the subject which offers useful framework for developing economic policies which can reduce the emissions of greenhouse and also uh, behavioral changes. You know that popularity of behavioral economics in these days. So behavioral economics questions the earlier theories, classical theories and neoclassical theories, and it is an alternative framework which prescribes strategies and rationales use of policies by the Daniel Kahneman. So which is an alternative to regulatory and price-based solutions for externalities. So behavioral economics basically talks about individualistic and society, how they are becoming more vigilant even against these type of policies, how they can take quick decisions without following the decisions of others. So under these, mitigation and adaptation are the two issues, two areas one can think of. So in this slide, what I am going to explain to you is that if you come to climate change, you know that it is a global common good, and it imposes high cost on the society. So climate change affects every one of us. However, the economic development benefits a few due to unequal distribution of income or benefit of development. That one needs to understand being economic students. So further, climate change imposes high social cost, health cost on society and industries and corporate companies, which cause climate change hardly spent. So these industries and corporate companies, they hardly spend on mitigation of climate change. So this reflects the situation. Privatizing the profits and universalization or socializing pollution are the climate losses. This shows that appropriation of global commons climate by a few rich business tycoons, even in India. So in other words, the cost of climate change is borne by the government and profits are appropriated by the business. If you see the climate finance, one can understand. This reminds the grim situation of financing climate change predominantly by the government and hardly by the private sector, which makes a huge profit by appropriating environmental resources, including mining and polluting ecosystem services. So if you look at the investment by Government of India on research and development, it is purely government investment, whereas in case of America and other countries, even Israel, the investment on research and development is coming from private sector. So this is how appropriation of government resources are also the common resources by the industries. But when it comes to the responsibility to save the environment, when it comes to the responsibility of uplifting the society, it is the responsibility of the government. So this is the paradox. So this policy efforts towards mitigation and adaptation of climate change remains a challenge given the poor financial resources made available at the global and regional level. So there are sources of finances because you know that climate resilience and adaptation and mitigation depends on availability of finance, even at the village or even at the household level. So otherwise we are not in a position to make any changes. So there are sources of finances committed by the developed countries to the developing countries, including India, but the promise has not been met even today. So there are four important sources of global climate finances: global environment facility replenishment, social climate change fund, least developed countries fund, bilateral and multilateral sources. If you look at this graph, the uh, the orange color is private, the blue color is public source. The public source, including governments, they have committed 100, what do you call it as 100 US dollar billion. National DFIs, bilateral DFIs, multilateral and multilateral climate funds, etc. State-owned financial instruments. And others are commercial financial instruments, households, individuals, corporations. So if you look at where this fund is going, so more of the fund is going for mitigation, that is climate mitigation. $1,150 billion is going for mitigation, whereas adaptation is receiving a raw deal, only $63 billion. This clearly shows that even under climate policy, the corporates would like to make benefit through selling their EVs, electric vehicles and technologies, and even solar energy technology and their instruments and wind energy. So everywhere they benefited are the corporates. So it clearly shows that the adaptation where people need to adapt to the climate change in terms of cyclone, floods, droughts, non-availability of water, non-accessible to housing, education, etc. So the money is not flowing enough. So people are becoming poor and poor over a period of time because of impacts of climate change. So as per the climate policy initiatives on the global of climate finance, this is the situation. More of the fund is going for that one, and less fund is available for the adaptation. So over the period of time, the developed countries have committed themselves for giving $1 trillion climate finance to developing countries, but they have not received any fund. They have hardly received any fund, and technology is also not being transferred. So this is the situation. So this clearly shows that the climate change is not a serious business for these countries of the world, even though they have signed the agreement. So I have written an article, The Shadow of Poverty on India's Climate Goals, because India commits itself to achieve net zero emission by 2070, whereas it has to uplift nearly half of the population to the above poverty line. So if you look at the fiscal India's green finance, so most of the finances are coming from government. Of course, there are commercial financial institutions. They are showing some interest, but still, because I worked on state action plan and climate change reports, I have tracked all the resources available at the source, both private and public. The only source is available for the private is that CSR fund, Corporate Social Responsibility Fund. That is also not being directed properly, but it is being used at the discretion of the corporates. So this is the about climate policy. Then climate finance gap is day by day it is increasing. Now, as per the recent estimations, at least countries need 7 trillion US dollar to make development more sustainable one and less climate or less carbon economy. So I've also written one article on paradox of global financing, highlighting the gaps in the policy. Uh, that is the one issue. And if you come to India, how India is positioned in terms of climate change. So already many sectors of the economy, many regions, millions of people are affected with increasing number of cyclones, high precipitation, floods, severe droughts, forest fires, acute shortage of drinking water in many regions, destruction of social and economic infrastructure, which are common. More extreme heat, more heavy precipitation, more frequent droughts, fast sea level rise, and greater loss of species and ecosystem. So it is predicted that agriculture productivity will drastically fall. 60% of Indian households still depend on substantially on agriculture, with 82% of farmers having small or marginal plots of land. And it is predicted that 25% fall in farm income in some areas due to impacts of climate change. So even though the government of India had a plan to enhance the income of the farmers almost double, but this is the reality. The income of the farmers are falling due to various risks, including market risks. So the rainfall patterns have drastically changed. So sometimes you know that during the winter season it is raining in Bangalore, and most of the crops have been affected. This will give rise to the food inflation. Already food inflation is very high in India, and the poor are unable to buy food products. But this is going to be another risks, climate change risk. Further, higher temperature in various parts of India, sea level rise and submergence of coastal lands, and storms, cyclones lead to several floods in Indian and other cities, including Bangalore and Chennai. This trend spells a catastrophe for economic development and well-being of the people in India, as still 48% of people are poor. However, the government of India thinks to make developed country by 2047. And these are the realities the government should understand. The economic cost of climate change is estimated around 3 to 10% of India's GDP annually because of several disasters that took place in India, especially in Himalayan regions. You might have seen the Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand, Sikkim, and other states have suffered a lot, and we have not accounted their loss in the budget, in the GDP of the state as well as country. So our GDP is highly inflated, therefore we are showing high rate of growth. So India's 40% of poor, particularly vulnerable communities, those who live in slums, continue to suffer the impact of climate change with their limited economic resilience. So poverty reduction programs continue to uh, fail due to frequent onslaught of natural disasters like Amphan. Earlier, speaker has mentioned the Yas cyclone, which probably pushed millions of people under poverty line and further rise in income inequality. So I can speak about climate resilient agriculture if you have time, and so I can take one area where how we can do better in terms of sustainable agriculture. Climate change poses a serious challenge to food security in India. Extreme temperature affect water availability, soil quality, crop growth, reduce yields and production, increases the cases of pest attack, and rise the production cost. The so India is already facing the high damages from climate change in agriculture sector, as about 60% of the population directly depend on it. And government of India, with active support of state governments, can make several policy efforts towards climate mitigation and adaptation. However, poor literacy, lack of awareness about climate change and its impact, and poor implementation of climate resilient agriculture, and lack of sustainability practices have been the societal challenges. and which have possibly hindered the effective implementation of various agricultural transformation programs at the grassroots level. So therefore, to mitigate climate extremes, implementation of climate resilient agriculture is the need of the hour. CRA is a scientific approach or innovation which seeks to offset climate change by adaptation and mitigation strategies, which are mainly rooted on sustainable use and enhancement of natural resource base. This will enhance the capacity of agriculture system to respond effectively to climate change and help in reducing damage and speedy recovery. So CRA practices can act as a lasting tools for sustaining agriculture production to meet the current and future needs of food, ensure sustainable livelihood security, of farmers, and conserve natural resources including seeds, soil, water, forest, biodiversity, and many ecosystem services. So it is observed in IPCC report 2022 that adaptation reduces the climate risk in agriculture, especially cultivator cultivar improvements on farm water management and storage, soil moisture conservation, irrigation, agroforestry, community-based adaptation, farm and landscape level diversification, sustainable land management, use of agroecological practices, restoration of wetlands, and upstream forest ecosystem. These are the some of the ways the community can develop climate resilience through sustainable practices. So these sustainable practices will effectively act against flood and heat risks. So I have developed some of the how a country can make climate resilient agriculture. So I have developed a graph. I am not in a position to explain in detail how hazards climate hazards. There are several types of hazards and adaptive and mitigation practices, agriculture practices, crop and livestock level, high moisture, heat tolerant crops, frost protection plant, drought tolerant crops, raised bed system, subsoiling, zero tillage like that. So windbreakers, agroforestry, natural resource soil water forestry, at that these resources can help windbreaks and agroforestry, institutional practices, fire breaks, optimum crop calendar, wind machines, early warning crop, small scale reservoir, field dredging, remote and proximate optical sensors, etc. How government can play important role. There are several organizations which can combine together. They can help implementation of climate resilient agriculture. There are government schemes like PM Krishi Sinchai Yojana and PM Fasal Bima Yojana like that. And village level intervention is also required. These mainly farmers activities, building resilience in soil, adapted cultivars and cropping system change, rainwater harvesting, recycling of wastewater, water saving technologies like that. So there are ways the India has taught the sustainable practices. Someone has mentioned about Gandhiji, and there was a way in which the Indians were living. Certainly shows the world because we can't have the consumerism practiced by the Americans. If we same level of our pattern of consumption we start in India, so we need another two earths for meeting all our needs. So this is about climate resilient agriculture. Government has come out with several policies, life economy like that. Life economy mainly life changes for environment. It speaks about the common people and all the people should adapt to changes in the lifestyles, reduce the emissions of greenhouse gases, reduce the carbon footage, carbon uh, per capita emissions, etc. But on the other hand, the government promotes consumerism and economic development. On the other hand, lifestyle changes may not work. They don't go in uh, same path. So these are some of the paradoxes, policy paradoxes. So I just skip all these things. So these are the key performance indicators where how we can adapt climate resilience. In terms of year-wise programs, we should have identify adaptation and mitigation schemes and programs. We should set physical targets to be achieved. There should be some budget requirements that should be given by the either private or public sector, and track progress over a period of time. Identify implementation gaps. What are the gaps we should identify and rebuild? Adjust strategies if they are required. Meet climate objectives and targets. So this is how one can think of, at least at the local and individual level, we can mitigate the climate change, increase the resilience, economic and institutional resilience for our own well-being. So there are several efforts in the earlier, I told, Sustainable Development Report, Our Common Future, as highlighted. So David Pierce and others, they have highlighted we need to move for green GDP or sustainable economy. And even the Stern report has warned we should have climate resilient policies. And the recent one I am interested in that the Partha Dasgupta review. So economics of biodiversity and Dasgupta review, the UK government has uh, set a panel under the chairmanship of Partha Dasgupta. So he produced a very path-breaking report. Even though there are earlier the same idea has been overstated and stated, but he once again highlighted the role of natural capital in economic development. So some of the policies we have in climate mitigation, so they may not work unless there is a natural capital which supports. So for example, we always try to mitigate climate change through technology. That may not work because ultimately the forest is considered to be biodiversity, or forest considered to be the sink of all carbon dioxide. So the carbon should be absorbed by the forest and emitted the oxygen. So that is the natural process which helps a lot rather than EV, for example. EV depends on the battery. So the battery is developed out of non-renewable resources, it's especially the rare earth materials. So these rare earth materials going to be exhausted, and the processing also requires lots of natural resources, including water. So this is not going to be sustainable. And at the same time, EVs are replacing the pollution in terms of charging from cities to the rural areas. We are polluting the rural areas because we produce thermal electricity, and thermal electricity is being used for recharging, charging of the batteries. So this is how we are doing. And if we come to the solar energy, the solar energy panels, so they are going to be more debris in terms of managing the resources in future. So somehow we have to rethink about some of the technologies we are using, because you know that the chlorofluorocarbon we invented in 1930s by the scientists, it is a man-made gas. We are using it in refrigerator, cold storage, etc. That is the main root cause for the ozone layer depletion and other climate changes. So we don't know the technology, the knowledge about technology is highly limited to us for the scientist. So when we are using these type of technology, we are affecting the future generation. So there are several climate resilience policies. I am not going to discuss in detail. Climate risk and vulnerability assessments is required. Early warning system is important. Preparedness, disaster management is very important. Climate risk governance and capacity building for the officials is very important. Nature-based solutions used to reduce risk across sectors is very important. That is changes in the behavior of the production and consumption. Climate proofing infrastructure development is important. Risk transfer in terms of insurance. The insurance should cover the floods and disasters and climate heat, etc. Sharing of knowledge and best practices on climate risk management is also very important. So what is the way? I am coming almost towards the end of this keynote address. So economic reforms under capitalism started way back in 1980s onwards had given importance to rapidly enhancing man-made and human capital. The man-made capital means infrastructure, and human capital means development of human beings without limiting our needs. So at the cost of natural capital, natural resources. So the COVID-19 teaches the lessons to the world community that humans must live in their own limitations, and always nature dominates our society and economy. There is an urgent need to recognize and value the role of nature and its resources for the survival of the people and sustenance of the economy under the even pandemic, even under climate change. Make development sustainable and equitable one to present and future generation is the need of the hour. Therefore, limited consumption and production are the answer to all the problems the humanity faces today, from scarcity of basic environmental goods and services to pollution of the environment such as climate change. So restoring the ecosystem is the only natural way we can contain climate change rather than through technological advancement. So financing of climate change policies through climate state action plan on climate change. In every state, the government of India has asked to prepare the state action plan on climate change. Of course, most of the states have prepared. Some of the states are preparing these climate action plan reports. The Karnataka and Kerala, they have prepared long back, but there is no source of fund for implementing these climate state action plan on climate change. At least I have asked the government of Karnataka to track some of the resources which are going for mitigation and adaptation. The same can be presented this year budget as a climate budget. So afterwards we can earmark some fund for the climate action plan. So we are moving, but main problem with the climate resilience is the lack of resources, not only economics, but also natural resource and other resources. So economic resilience is more important to fight the climate change rather than technological solution. So the conclusion is that I would like to draw your kind attention to Charles Darwin, what he said. It is not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent. We think that we are intelligent, we are strongest, we can survive. No, it is the one that is most adaptable to change, climate change. They can survive. So during floods, during COVID, we survived because of this adaptation to change. So those who do not adapt, they may die, they may not survive on this earth. So throughout the human history, no period has witnessed interference with the environmental resources on the larger scale except LPG or capitalist mode of economic growth. So an efficient system of environmental protection should be an important part of modern society. So economies are more successful when we close the gap between rich and the poor. The test of our progress is not whether we had more to abundance of those who have much. It is whether we provide enough for those who have too little, as per Franklin D. Roosevelt, the second president of the United States. So the concluding thought is that the mother nature is kind enough to fulfill all our genuine needs, and she is not able to fulfill our greed. So the modern society is led by the greediness. So the way we are investing on money market, capital market, real estate, so we are highly greedy. So that may not help to protect ourselves. The money cannot protect ourselves. So there is enough in the world for everyone's need, but not for everyone's greed. Therefore, humanity must learn to live within the limitations of the physical environment. So therefore, I wish the economics Amity School of Economics for organizing this wonderful conference. And there are good themes. they can discuss on several issues in details. Because of paucity of time, I focused only on some of the issues. And I wish all the success of this two-day conference, and all the success to everyone who participated in this conference, who will be participating in this conference. Thank you for the opportunity once again to the Amity School of Economics. I stop here. Thank you.
Now, I would like to request our convener, Dr. Debulina Shah, ma'am, to share a few words about the session. Please, ma'am.
First of all, sir, we are grateful to have you as the keynote speaker. And I also apologize that we kept you waiting for a long time. And of course, we are also grateful for your patience. And I was really touched when you started the session with respect to Professor Rabindranath Bhattacharya. Like, actually, I also studied under him, did my master's and then PhD. So he's like my father. And actually, I remember today morning also I posted on his Facebook page, because this is a special day for me. This is the first time I'm convening a conference.
Madam, you're not clearly audible. Can you speak to mic? You can use the
Yeah.
other mic
Can
also.
you hear me now?
Yeah, better. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. So actually, today morning also I posted on Professor Bhattacharya's Facebook page.
Great. Great.
Because actually this is a very special day for me, and of course your session was very enriching. You pointed out to the this production gap report, which is really a very alarming report. And of course, like you really enlightened us on several aspects of the production gap report. And one important thing that we learned from this session is that a very important thing that you pointed out is that economic resilience is more important. Otherwise, without economic resilience, we cannot reach climate resilience. With so much of poverty, and of course, with this climate change, poverty is going to increase. And as the production gap report also shows that mitigation and adaptation, the amount of funding is very different. So that is also a very important point. And of course, I'd say that book review, you said that 2 words. I remember a few months ago, I was in Sandy Summer School, and Partha Dashgupta was speaking over there, and he was also saying that it was the calculation show that 1.7 hours. So maybe in future, if you come down to Kolkata, we can have a face-to-face session also. Thank you so much, and we thoroughly actually enjoyed. Thoroughly grasped your session. It was so enriching, and it was really. Those who have joined today, those who have their sessions today, it will give them insight also from your session. So, thank you, sir.
Thank you. So shall I leave the meeting?
Yes, sir. With this, we'll start our sessions. So,
Yeah.
yes, sir. Thank you for giving us your time.
Thank you so much.
अभी तो एक मिनट है, अभी तो पूरे बंद कर।
Hello once again to everyone. Well, it is unfortunate that since we started a little late, therefore we are running, beyond the schedule. What we will do, we were supposed to finish by 12:30 and it is 1 hour later. So lunch is supposed to be served at 1:30 or perhaps 1:45. We have 15 minutes in hand. So the best thing would be to use this time. We would like to, do something very, very important, very, very dear to our heart. All the three session chairs, they have arrived in the morning, and it is very kind of them that since the morning they are attending, they are very, closely listening to every speech. So now it is the time to, express our gratitude to them. Let us make the best use of this 15 minutes. Okay, so fine, let us move to the felicitation of our technical session chairs. To begin with, I request the technical session chair of the first session, Professor Dr. Ochirangshu Acharya. Sir is Associate Professor, Vidyasagar University. Sorry, extremely sorry, my bad. Vishwabharati University. So, Professor Kuntia, please, a big round of applause. I hope the lights are, let us switch on the lights. Let us switch on the lights. The photographs will be better. I request all faculty members to please kindly join us. I hope you have got good pictures. Otherwise, we can stand up. Make another. Let us stand up. Backdrop. Have backdrop. Next, I request Professor Bhaskar Bhoshan from our convener of this conference is I request Professor Akmal sir is heading the research center. This research center is very much a part of the university, and the states care of 90 cases. It is a matter of pride for us that recently I got this information. Amity University States Research Center has ranked with all over the world. Several times that you are here on the campus, we would like to introduce some special case study sessions for our students where economic case studies written by them, developed and published by them, can be taught by them in some special sessions to our students. So, review the progress of every PhD work, we have a department research committee. Here we have 2 or 3 external members and of course our internal members. Sir has very kindly agreed to be a part of this committee and guide us with research scholars. Thank you, sir. We have Dr. Amrita Shah, Amrita Mojumdar, previous assistant dean, academics department out of currently Edward. So just to repeat another time, Dr. Amrita Mojumdar, PS, FOC registrar, FS campus. However, she takes care of these academic responsibilities, and that's why perhaps you know this. She is currently the senior meeting the Dr. Vice Chancellor for Mobility So, much of that. Yeah. I just one small request, you know, that like this, I think over this, for our chairs and more chairs, one thing, you know, I was focusing, I am possibly very passionate about cards, and I could see that some of them are filthy very badly, because in water, yesterday, and they are wrapped in plastic, till now, that's, they are not, you know, all of this. So that's the really positive. But I am not hearing it's really nice to know what is like. I know already we were planning to get actually expected you. Yes, yes. When I see a printing class, I feel as if I am focused by that is a kind of connect. It's
So it does again. So the people that who are finding them, so it's like that. You want to have this water because we don't have a merchant water. Thank you all. So let's start. We have moving towards our country. All the principal participants, all our volunteers, and of course, I guess we talked along with us.
Yeah, 12 बजे तक